here's Donald Trump, and they've got a little bit of a problem, right? I mean, now I guess the big thing on Twitter is they want a 25th Amendment for Joe Biden for pulling out of Afghanistan. There was, without a doubt, just say this again, failure to open up and allow more refugees in this country. It's obviously there's a dynamic where this administration is terrified of the idea of refugees coming in, terrified of the idea of immigration. At the same time, you got a federal judge appointed by Donald Trump who has forced the Biden administration to reinstate the wait in Mexico policy. But we also have had just a failure of getting Afghani civilians out of Afghanistan. Heard from Ronald Reagan earlier that he's got colleagues who just, the applications were not processed. There's no doubt in my mind, and this is not to let the Biden administration off the hook because they got to be aware of this, that the systems for getting refugees into this country were incredibly degraded over the course of the Trump administration. There are implications to an administration that is hell-bent on the destruction of the administrative state. You give them 4 years, and they're going to destroy big parts of the administrative state. With that said, there was a responsibility by Biden to make sure that before they're pulling out troops,
that those systems weren't in place. But they were they were arrogant about how they'd set up Afghanistan, essentially. They were seemingly thought that there wouldn't be this big of a...
Apparently there was an incredible delusion. But here is Donald Trump. They're going to try and scrub this. They also apparently tried to scrub the announcement, the bragging on the RNC page.
Ronna McDaniel.
Yeah. Here is Donald Trump at the Save America rally in Sarasota, Florida, almost a month and a half ago.
I started the process. All the troops are coming back home. They couldn't stop the process. 21 years is enough, don't we think? 21 years. They couldn't stop the process. They wanted to, but it was very tough to stop the process when other things are at. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a shame. 21 years by a government that wouldn't last. The only way they last is if we're there. What are we going to say? We'll stay for another 21 years, then we'll stay for another 50. The whole thing is ridiculous. So we're bringing our troops back home.
Is that a hype tape for the Philadelphia 76ers?
Well, the amazing thing is
the process.
He concedes that the administration, and presumably the Biden administration also knew, that they cannot exist without our propping them up. And the only thing the Biden administration did was miscalculate how long it was going to take them to fall. They thought we can get out and a month later, the whole thing falls. Or maybe they thought 3 months later, the whole thing falls. And it turned out, no, 15 minutes before we leave, it's going to fall. Which is exactly why you need to leave. Because if after 20 years, the removal of 2,500 troops, and I guess the NATO forces as well, the thing falls in moments. And part of that, too, was Trump had bought that time by releasing 5,000 Taliban prisoners, which also didn't help the situation.
Yeah. And again, if you are going to remain in Afghanistan, which you shouldn't be, it shouldn't just be as stopgap for when the Taliban eventually takes over the thin, propped up government that you have maintained and not invested in. Like the idea that we were there for over 20 years, as Trump says, and did not find a way to invest the $1 trillion that we poured into that project, into creating some sort of infrastructure system. I mean, it's unconscionable to be there for that long, but if you're going to be there that long, don't be there as essentially an occupying force presiding over glad-handing and kleptocracy, which is what they did. And of course, the Taliban was able to just immediately, just like wildfire, rampage through.
That's what our military does. It's a kleptocratic torture machine, basically. Because
they already had, the Taliban, I mean, presumably already had these relationships with these officials, and so of course they're going to fold immediately. That, like, and what a shocker, the Afghan people did not get behind the paper thin government that we manufactured and set up for them there, and then the Afghan president fled. The guy's not even there anymore.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.